So we have a UFC card in Abu Dhabi this weekend. UFC 294 Makachev versus Volkanovski 2. And I'm going to get into my predictions. So starting off with the first fight of the night, we have a fight in the middleweight division between Bruno Silva and debutant Sharaputin Bullet Nurmagomedov. I was about to say Nurmagomedov, fucking hell. Magomedov. Actually, I'll start off. This is an interesting fight. I think most people will be going with Shara Bullet here. And I will be going with Shara Bullet here too. But it is a very interesting fight, you know. Bruno Silva is a dog in there. But I just think he's taken so much damage now. He's still yet to be KO'd. But like, come on, man. He took an absolute career-altering beating from Alex Bahia. Gets flatline dropped by Gerald Meerschaert. Gets dropped by Brendan Allen and almost KO'd. You know, I just think his chin's not the same anymore. It's not like he's a glass jaw, obviously, but he's just not as durable as he once was before that Bahia fight. And I think Sharaputin, you know, he's got really good kicks. He's powerful in the hands too. Just a powerful guy, and I think he'll land something and KO Bruno Silva here. I think the UFC know what they're doing. They're trying to build Sharaputin up. You know, he's a good prospect. He's the number one middleweight in all of Russia, or he was at one point. And you know, that's pretty, you know, high praise considering how many like middleweights are coming out of that part of the world. So yeah, I got Sharaputin getting this one done by KO, and I'll say in the first round, but it should be a fun fight while it lasts. Now we have a fight in the the only strawweight division, but the women's strawweight division. I'm going to be taking Victoria Dudakova here over Jin Yu Frey. Jin Yu Frey is just, she loses fight after fight, man. Her only win was against Ashley Yoda and Gloria DePola, who now is cut out of the UFC. She lost to Kay Hansen as well, which in my opinion isn't a good look. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with Victoria Dudakova here. I actually think she is a pretty good prospect for women's MMA. You know, she had a good performance over Estela Nunes. Didn't last very long though because of the injury, but she looked good on Dana White Contender Series against Maria Silva, and before that she's beat pretty good level of competition. So I'm going to take her here, plus she's a lot younger than Jing Yu Frey. So I reckon Victoria Duvakova gets this one done, probably by decision. I'll go with decision. Then we have a fight in the 145-pound division between the Englishman Nathaniel Wood and the Tajik Muhammad Naimov. Now this is an interesting fight. You know, Muhammad Naimov coming over that win over Jamie Mullarkey at, I can't even remember what card it was. When was his debut? So it was the fight night, Kai Kara France versus Albazi. He was losing that fight like pretty convincingly, but Jamie Mullarkey, you know, one of the biggest flaws out of Jamie Mullarkey's game is his defense, and I don't know what he was going for. I don't know if he was going for a hook or if he was going for a takedown, but he runs up to Naimov with his hands completely down and just gets clipped. It was really, like, generally very bizarre from Jamie Mullarkey. I don't know what he was going for there, but he dropped his hands, like, ran at Naimov with his hands down, and yeah, he got clipped. Naimov's a very good striker. He's a Taekwondo champion, I believe. Like, he won a bunch of championships in Taekwondo. But I think Nathaniel Wood will win this. I mean, like, Muhammad Naimov is good, but, like, he lost to Colin Anglin. Just isn't a good look in my opinion. Anglin did not have any success in the UFC. You know, went on to lose to Melsick, lost to Sean Woodson. Then he lost outside the UFC to 5-2 Edwin Chavez, and then lost to 9-5 James Brown. And Edwin Chavez is now 6-5, so like, you know, that really isn't a good look in my opinion. So you know, Muhammad Naimov is a very good striker, but Nathaniel Wood has shown that he can grapple. You know, he out-grappled Charles Jourdain, so I could see him following a sort of a similar game plan here. But I do think he is the better striker than Naimov, but Nathaniel Wood's chin is, you know, sort of a worry at times. We did see him get dropped pretty badly by John Woodson. But obviously Jodson, sorry, I said Dobson, didn't I? Yeah, John Dodson. He dropped him, and it was a bit of an early stoppage to be fair, but still, his chin is a bit of a worry. We've seen him get dropped a few times, but Naimov is very powerful. But I think Nathaniel Wood will get this one done, and I'm gonna say by decision. Maybe gets him later. Naimov's cardio. He has shown to slow down before. I know he did get that third round TKO over Jamie Mullarkey, but he has been shown to slow down before. And then the next fight we have is in the lightweight division. We've got the King of Lions, Anshul Jubli versus Mike Breeden. I think this is a really good stylistic matchup for Anshul Jubli. I think the UFC are really doing him a favor here. Obviously, they know he's the best fighter out of India at the moment, and they really want to build that market. India is the most populated country in the world, so obviously you'd want to build a market out of that country. And I think Anshul Jubli will get this one done. Mike Breeden's taken so much damage his last few fights. He got knocked out cold by Alexander Hernandez. He took a fucking beating and a half from Natan Levy. He almost won that fight though against Natan Levy, but Natan Levy just kept dropping him. And then he got the shit beat out of him by Terrence McKinney. And then before that, he got 52nd second KO'd by Ivy Nixon on the regional scene. He lost to then, on the amateur scene, he got a bunch of submission losses. And then he lost to Anthony Romero, but Anthony Romero is actually a pretty good fighter. The UFC just never ended up signing. He ended up going to the PFL and lost to Oliver Mercier, but it's not a bad loss by any means. But yeah, we've just seen Mike Breeden just take so much damage. He's 34 years old. Anshul Jubli is the younger man here. He's got momentum as well. Momentum's always a big thing when it comes to these fights. And I think just stylistically, he's got the good enough striking to go out there and beat Mike Breeden, in my opinion. But he can also grapple to victory here too. So he's got so many ways to win. So I'm going to go with Anshul Jubli getting a TKO. But yeah, that's how I got that one going. And then we got a fight in the middleweight division between Cedric Dumas and Abu Azaitar. Now this one's interesting. Like generally very interesting because I don't know how to rate Cedric Dumas at all. Because he beat Cody Brundage in his last fight, but Cody Brundage is like not very good, if we're being honest. And he also, he didn't look good in that fight. He just Cody Brundage fought with no fight IQ, just kept jumping guillotines and then laying on bottom. But I really rate Cedric Dumas because he beat Matej Panaz in 47 seconds, who's actually a really good fighter. So it's like, I don't know how to rate this guy. And then he lost to Josh Fremd, who Josh Fremd isn't like an elite fighter, but yeah, I have no fucking clue how to rate Cedric Dumas. But Abu Azaitar is like 37 years old, took a fucking beating and a half from Marc-Andre Barriault. Something's telling me that Abu Azaitar might get this one done, but I can't trust him just coming off such a long layoff. Like he's 37 years old, and the beating he took from Marc-Andre Barriault was fucking ungodly. Like, Barriault literally beat the shit out of him. I remember thinking it was like a late stoppage. It was that bad, man. Like, he was not letting up on him. He was fucking beating him like he owed him money. So, I think I am actually going to take Cedric Dumas here, but I'm not confident in his pick at all. But, from what I've seen from him, he has showed some burst of brilliance, but he didn't look good at all against Josh Fremd. But I think he can actually get this one done, and I think I'm going to say by TKO. Like I said, Azaitar took so much damage against Marc-Andre Barriault that it's generally very worrying. So I'm gonna take Dumas here, but I'm not super confident on it. But yeah, I think he can beat Abu Azaitar, but I guess we'll find out what happens. But yeah, not confident on that one. That's one I'd stay away from, especially because I'm pretty sure Dumas is like a big favorite. So I wouldn't bother betting on that unless you're going to bet on the underdog. But yeah, no point betting on Dumas. I wouldn't trust him too much because yeah, the Dumas that showed it up against Josh Fremd, looked like the fucking lowest tier middleweight. So it was a weird performance, but maybe it was just an off night or something. But anyway, then we got a fight in the bantamweight division between Javid Basharat and Victor Henry. Now this one's really interesting. You know, Victor Henry has such a dominant pressure style. Like this guy's pressure is insane. And Javid Basharat just has a really nice masterclass type style. That's the best way I can word it. Like he always just puts on masterclass. You know, Trevor Jones and Tony Gravely, really good wins. I don't know if I really rate the Mateus Mendoza win, obviously, since we've seen Mendoza get the shit beat out of him 2 weekends ago by Nate Maness. But it was a dominant performance, and Mateus Mendoza had like no success in that fight at all. That's one thing you do worry about a little bit, is that besides beating that Israeli guy on the Contender Series, Oren Karlan, you know, he doesn't really get finishes. Like on the regional scene, he was getting all these submissions, knockouts, and everything. But he does seem to just be a decision fighter in the UFC, which you've got to worry about a little bit against like a Victor Henry because of how much he pressures and everything. And he's got a granite chin. But we did see against Rafael Assunção, he did just sort of get masterclass there by a aging Assunção who's now retired. So I'm going to take Javid Basharat here. I think he can get this one done. You know, but Victor Henry is like a tough, gritty veteran. But I'm confident. I think Javid Basharat is the real deal. So I think he will get this one done. But yeah, if Javid Basharat's like down a round or two, you got to be a bit worried because Victor Henry is so durable. But maybe Javid Basharat could get a submission. But no, that to be fair, all of his losses are by decision. Victor Henry, like I say, this guy's tough and he's durable. So maybe if you see Victor Henry up like a round or two, maybe live bet Victor Henry. I feel like that'd be a good bet. But I'm going to go with Javid Basharat. I think he will get this one done by decision. And then moving on, we got a fight in the lightweight division. We have Muhammad Yahya versus Trevor Peek. I think it's Yahya because I went to school with a guy with that last name, and his last name was, everyone called him, he said his last name was Yahya. It was pronounced like that, and it's spelled the exact same. So I think it is Muhammad Yahya. And then against Trevor Peek. So I'm going to be going with, let me check on Tapology. So I'm going with the underdog here. I don't know if he's the betting underdog, but I'm going with Trevor Peek here. From what I've seen from Muhammad Yahya, he's very hittable. I only watched like one or two fights, so maybe I just watched the wrong performances. But the fights I've seen, he was very hittable, and I'm pretty sure he's a striker, and he was getting hit a lot. And I feel like if you're fighting like Trevor Peek, who all he can use is his fucking power, his unorthodox power shots, I think he can actually clip and get Yahya out of there. I think the UFC thought this was a fight he would win though, because obviously this is in Abu Dhabi, and Yahya is from the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, which is the country that Abu Dhabi is located in. So I'm thinking maybe the UFC thought this was a good matchup for him, but I feel like it's probably actually a really tough matchup for him. He can still get this one done. You know, Trevor Peek is a wild man in there. He goes crazy, he swings big shots. Maybe he can gas out here, and then maybe Yahya can take over. Because, he's gone 5 rounds and everything, so he does seem to have some pretty good cardio. All his finishes, like he's got a 5th round arm triangle choke, rear naked, ref stoppage fatigue in round 3. So his cardio seems to be pretty good because he seems to get a lot of late stoppages, or he goes to decision. So I would imagine he's got pretty good cardio. But I'm going to go with Trevor Peek here. I think he will catch Yahya, but if Muhammad Yahya wins this, he could be a big star. Coming out of that region, they don't actually have any. Obviously, they have a fighter on this card, Hamzat Chimaev, who represents the UAE, but they don't have like a homegrown fighter out of the UAE like Muhammad Yahya. So he could probably be a big star because I think people in the Middle East, they really get behind their fighters. So if he wins this, he could be a massive star for the UAE. But anyway, yeah, I'm going with Trevor Peek, and I think he'll get him out of there in the first round. But after every round, Yahya's chances probably goes up, but if Trevor Peek wins the first round, which he probably should, then it's a bit trouble for Yahya because Trevor Peek could probably win the second round too. But I guess we see what happens, but I think Trevor Peek will KO him in the first. But Yaya does have some good cardio, so if it goes past like 2.5 rounds, maybe live bet Yaya. But anyway, moving on, we have a fight in the flyweight division between Tim Elliott and Muhammad Makayev. Now, this one's really interesting. I think a lot of people are really highly going for Muhammad Makayev, but this is like actually a really tough fight for him, in my opinion. Tim Elliott beat Tagir Ulanbekov. I mean, I think there was some controversy there, but he did win that. He's shown to be good against like that sort of style of fighter. I think his fight with Askar Askarov that he did lose, but I think it was competitive. If I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure it was a competitive fight. But Tim Elliott is a tough, gritty veteran, but I do think Muhammad Makayev can just probably control his way to victory here. The one thing I don't like about Muhammad Makayev's game is he does have really good wrestling, but he doesn't do damage. Like, he almost arguably lost to Charles Johnson in that fight because he literally all he did was like total control him. He did no damage. Like, he needs to work on doing some more damage in his fights because then he'll actually get more clear victories. Because yeah, it's not a good look for him just total controlling because damage is the number one scoring criteria, and if he doesn't do damage, there is like a good chance he could lose that on damage. But I think he can get Tim Elliott. I think he can win a decision here, but it's a tough fight. He could maybe even sub Tim Elliott. We have seen Tim Elliott. He's been subbed before, I believe. Yeah, guillotined by Figgy. Rear naked chokes by Ben Nugent. Guillotined by Benavidez. I'm gonna go with Muhammad Makayev getting this one done by submission. I think he can sub Tim Elliott here, but it should be a tough fight. Now moving on, we have a fight in the men's bantamweight division between Said Nurmagomedov and the Tajik Mien Gavarov. Obviously, like I said, from Tajikistan. I'm going to be going with Said Nurmagomedov. He's probably my lock of the card. I think this is a really good matchup for him here. Moin Gafarov just didn't look good at all against John Castaneda, in my opinion. It's weird. He actually looks really like fat for a bantamweight. It's weird. Like he actually looks so chubby. Maybe this guy could make flyweight. Let me see. He's fought at featherweight in the past. Bantamweight, featherweight. Like I feel like if this guy lost some weight, he could probably make flyweight. He's not like a massive guy. He looks really chubby out there. But I do think Said Nurmagomedov will get this one done. I think he's the much better striker here. I think he's the better grappler. I think he's just better in every way. So I'm gonna go with Said Nurmagomedov getting this one done. And then we have a fight in the middleweight division between Ikram Aliskerov and Wally Alves. Wally Alves hasn't fought at middleweight since he won the Ultimate Fighter back in 2014. And yeah, generally a really interesting fight in my opinion. Everyone's going to obviously assume Ikram's going to run through him, which could happen. Wally Alves isn't looking his best lately. Like, he didn't look good against Nicholas Dalby, didn't look good against Jeremiah Wells, but he looked amazing against Munier Lazzez, but I guess we found out Lazzez, wasn't all that, unfortunately. I really liked Munier Lazzez. But, yeah, I think Ikram Aliskerov will win this fight. Like, I don't know, Wally Alves is one of the most inconsistent fighters. Like, he'll show up like an absolute fucking unit and beast against Munier Lazzez, and then just get fucking flatline KO'd by Jeremiah Wells. Beats Colby Covington, and then just gets the shit beat out of him by Brian Barberino. It's like, he's such a weird fighter to predict. But I do think Ikram Aliskerov can just dominate this one on the ground. He's going to be a lot bigger as well. Wally Alves isn't like a massive welterweight, so he's not even going to be like that big of a middleweight either. I just think Ikram will probably just beat him up on the ground. But I do like this fight. I think this fight makes more sense than the Nordine Amavov fight did, because I don't think Ikram deserves a ranked opponent yet. Like this makes a lot more sense. Like, build the guy up a little bit. You don't just rush him in. You don't want another Abbas Magomedov situation. Plus, knocking out Phil Hawes. Like, Phil Hawes is a really good fighter, but his chin just isn't good. He's got one of the worst chins in the UFC. Like you don't really see Ikram Aliskerov flatlining anybody. Like if you look at his record, it's mostly all submissions. He's got a few ground and pound TKOs, but no like flatline KOs on the feet. Obviously, it goes without mentioning, he did have a tough fight with Hamzat Chimaev. That's what most people know him for. Hamzat Chimaev couldn't take him down, but he ended up getting flatlined on the feet. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Ikram Aliskerov here. I think he will get this one done, probably by a ground and pound TKO. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do for him next. Maybe they rebook the Amabov fight. That probably makes some sense. But I'm glad he's at least getting another fight before you give him a ranked opponent. That was like fucking bullshit giving him a ranked opponent after beating Phil Hawes at this point. But anyway, we got a fight in the light heavyweight division next. Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. Now this one's really interesting, man. I was generally tossing up who I'm going to go with here. Because, Magomed Ankalaev, I'm not too sure about his chin. Like, we did see him get dropped by the ghost of Thiago Santos. The ghost of Thiago Santos didn't drop Johnny Walker. But I still think Magomed Ankalaev is good enough to beat Johnny Walker. But Walker is on a run right now, so maybe Walker's going to shock the world. But I think Magomed Ankalaev might just clip him or take a decision here. But Walker is so much more athletic and bigger. Who knows what he could like? Who knows if he lands like some crazy attack on Ankalaev? But I'm going to take Magomed, but I'm not too confident on this one if I'm being honest. But I am going to go with Magomed. I think he will get this one done. It's like Johnny Walker is on a crazy run, don't get me wrong, but we have seen like his chin, man. His chin it's always worrying. It's in every fight with Johnny Walker, his chin is always a big worry. He's on a free fight winning streak and against pretty good guys. Arn Kutalaba, really good win. Paul Craig, really good win. Anthony Smith, pretty good win. On paper, it's a great win. On paper, he's a great win. But yeah, so he beat Anthony Smith pretty dominantly. Destroyed him with leg kicks, but we also seen Magomed Ankalaev just run for Anthony Smith as well. And Magomed Ankalaev has some pretty good wins, like arguably beat Jan Blachowicz, beat Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos. Obviously, that's a wash, Thiago Santos, but beat Volkan Oezdemir, beat Krylov, Kutalaba. Clinton Abreu's actually a pretty underrated win. Prakniar's not too bad when you look at where he is at this point. Like, he actually has won quite a few fights. But yeah, I'm going to take Magomed Ankalaev. I think he'll get this one done. And I'm going to say by TKO. He's got pretty good counters. He's a counter striker. I could see him countering and finishing Johnny Walker. So yeah, I'm going to go with Magomed Ankalaev there. And then we have another fight in the middleweight division. Kamaru, the former UFC welterweight and second greatest welterweight of all time, in my opinion, Kamaru Usman, is going to be fighting Hamzat Chimaev. So this one's interesting. We've never seen Kamaru Usman at middleweight before, to the best of my knowledge. Let me just double check that. Welterweight. So yeah, this is his first fight in the middleweight division, so that's really interesting. Whoa, what the fuck? Well, in one of these fights, apparently in a fight, Kamaru Usman missed weight by 10 pounds. I don't know if that's legitimate or not, but that's what it says on Tapology against Lenny Lovato. So I'm not quite sure of how accurate that is, but apparently the fight before, apparently he was 167 pounds, and then he weighed in at fucking 180 pounds for his next fight, so that's weird. But yeah, this is his first like proper fight at middleweight. So it'll be interesting to see how he is there. Maybe we see like the best Kamaru Usman yet. But also at the same time, we know what Hamzat Chimaev looks like at middleweight. He's a monster at middleweight. I feel like he's so much better as a middleweight. He's powerful. He's quick. We've seen him just like he's so fast as a middleweight too. We've seen him just fucking instantly KO Gerald Meerschaert, who Gerald Meerschaert gives all of these prospects tough fights, but Hamzat Chimaev just one punch, like instant punches him, like fucking KOs him instantly. The man's quick, the man's powerful at middleweight. He's a lot, he'll have better cardio. His chin will be even better at middleweight. maybe you could say all the same things for Kamaru Usman, but I feel like Hamza Chimaev in this fight does have like a massive speed advantage over Kamaru Usman as well, especially knowing how Kamaru Usman looked against Leon Edwards in that third fight. And also, Hamza Chimaev has some pretty heavy leg kicks, which are shown to be like pretty hard for Kamaru Usman to take given his whole knee problems. And also at the same time, we have seen Kamaru Usman get taken down by Leon Edwards. Obviously, I'm not saying that means he can get taken down by everyone, but Hamza Chimaev is a big guy and he's very quick with his takedowns. And I'm imagining he is the stronger guy here than Kamaru Usman. He's going to be a lot bigger here too, I feel like. So yeah, I'm going to take Hamza Chimaev here. But I'm really excited for this. I feel like we'll learn a lot about Hamza Chimaev here. But I also, like I say, I think Usman's a little past it now. I don't think he's in his prime. He's still a good fighter, but he's not prime Usman anymore, which is unfortunate. So it will be interesting to see how he approaches this. I imagine it'll probably be a striking fight. But yeah, I'm actually really hyped for this. This one's going to be good. I've wanted to see this fight for years. Like generally, as soon as Hamza Chimaev debuted, I wanted to see him versus Kamaru Usman. So I'm glad we're actually going to get this fight because I thought this was going to be one of those fights we never got to see. So I'm really glad it is actually being booked. Like fuck, man, I'm excited for this one. I'm actually genuinely excited. Sorry, but yeah, I'm gonna say that Hamza Chimaev catches Kamaru Usman. I think he can KO him. I think he's so quick and powerful at middleweight. Like it seems like he's more powerful at middleweight. Like we seen Michel Pereira when he moved up yesterday against Andre Petroski. So quick, so powerful. He had so much more power in that fight against Petrovsky. Maybe this just speaks to how low level the middleweights are compared to welterweights, but he looked a lot more powerful. And I think, you find when a lot of these big welterweights move up to middleweight, they all succeed quite a lot. Obviously, this is former welterweight versus former welterweight, but, if you're a big welterweight and you're fighting a smaller welterweight upper division, you got to favor the bigger welterweight not having to cut as much weight. So yeah, I think Hamza Chimaev will get this one done by KO. And then moving on, we got the main event. We got Islam Makhachev versus Alexander the Great Volkanovski 2. And I'm going with the man. I have to. I'm going with Alexander Volkanovski here. I know people were calling me crazy. I had a comment saying, "Oh, I can't wait to see your tears when Islam beats Volk." It's like I don't vicariously live through another man, so I'm not going to cry about it. Obviously, I want Volkanovski to win, and I actually do think he's going to get this one done. I'm not going to cry though. I had to watch Volkanovski lose to Islam Makhachev in person, so I'm not going to lose watching it on the fucking TV. But yeah, that first fight was really close, and I thought after that, like if they ever rematched, I would have to pick Volk, and I'm just even though it's short notice and everything goes against Volkanovski here, I have to go with him. Islam always struggles with shorter opponents. We've seen it against Volk in the first fight. We've seen it against Davy Ramos. If you're a shorter opponent, it's going to be harder to get them down because of the lower center of gravity. And I think, obviously this was my reasoning for picking Volk in the first fight. But I think Volk's going to get this one done, man. I think he's going to start off from where he left in the fifth. He's not going to be as scared of the grappling from Islam, knowing that he can get back up. Obviously, he's not sized up like he was in that first fight, but I think he'll be quicker here. And he's going to utilize leg kicks a lot more than he did in that first fight. He's used to a few leg kicks, but he didn't throw too many of them, which was a bit. That was because he was worried about the grappling from Islam. But now that he's not as worried about the grappling from Islam, I can see him utilizing them a lot more. I also think he'll mix to the body a lot more. I think he's going to focus on trying to gas Islam out because we did see Islam gas really badly in that fifth round. So I could see Volk trying to use the same sort of game plan here. But I think with a few tweaks, I feel like this is for sure Volkanovski's fight to win. He's tough, he's gritty, and I think he's going to get this one done. And it's going to be one of the biggest upsets. I'm going to get called crazy. And maybe I'm wrong here. Islam Makhachev is an elite fighter. I'm not denying he's an elite fighter. If he wins, man. I'm not going to be upset. The better man wins at the end of the day. But I think Volk is going to get this one done. Maybe I'm delusional here, but I just can't count this man out. He's the only fighter who somehow in his 30s is improving and improving every fight. And after already fighting Islam and feeling his strength and everything, like Volkanovski is an on-the-fly fighter. He's gonna have all them adjustments ready now. Like he's not gonna also unlearn all the takedown defense and all the judo trips and everything and all the sambo attacks that Islam Makhachev threw at him. He's not gonna forget all of their moves, you know. So I generally think he'll get this one done. Obviously, it would have been better if he had more notice, but also I feel like that hampers Islam Makhachev as well. You know, preparing for Charles Oliveira is a completely different fight to Volkanovski. You're preparing for a 5'11 Muay Thai Jiu-Jitsu fighter with worse defense, maybe more power, and then now you're dealing with a more technical striker, more defensively sound, better takedown defense, shorter fighter with still with a longer reach than Islam. Like this is a completely different stylistic matchup. So I respect Islam Makhachev for taking this fight because it is a hard change of opponent. You go from a pretty good stylistic matchup for you from Charles Oliveira to a tougher matchup in Alexander Volkanovski. So I do respect Islam Makhachev for taking this fight. He really didn't have to take it. So generally, all the respect in the world, but I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to TKO or KO Islam Makhachev in the second round. I know that might be crazy, but I think he's going to dominate this fight. I don't know why. I just have this feeling that he's going to dominate Islam and he's going to really make a statement here. But like I say, this is a tough fight. Islam's a tough guy. Volk's a tough guy, so anything can happen. But I'm going with Alexander Volkanovski by second round KO. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. If you made it this far into the video, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to know your picks for this card. Let me know if you're taking the underdog in the main event too. And yeah, I can't wait for this card, man. This is going to be a good card. Like, genuinely, I'm so excited for this card. Like, yeah, this is like one of the cards of the year in my opinion. So many like hyped prospects and so many fighters that like could be massive stars, good prospects. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a bunch of hype trains and everything from this card. I feel like we will. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. Like this video, like I said, comment your thoughts on the fights in the comment section below. And if you're not already, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.